Where did that begin for Logan?
I think genetically, there's just something in me. Entrepreneurship is in my blood. And I was never aware of that until I was 18 years old and started getting exposed to the world of entrepreneurship through social media.
Bro, that's wild. When you do social media correctly, you almost become your own publicist.
Data doesn't lie. So for me, when I say quality content, that means that you are seeing consistent growth. And until you see consistent growth of your content, I hate to say it, but your content is not good enough, right? You don't have the quality that you need.
5 billion with the B like Bravo views is crazy. 20 million follower growth is insane.
I'll first start by saying this. Who is the best fit for our done for you service? It is
Welcome to Mick Unplugged, where we ignite potential and fuel purpose. Get ready for raw insights, bold moves, and game-changing conversations. Buckle up. Here's Mick.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Mick Unplugged, and today we got a big one for you. We're joined by a marketing innovator who's revolutionizing how brands scale their impact. He is a master of growth and storytelling by shaping the future of digital marketing. He is the co-founder and co-CEO of Media Scaling, which we're going to go deep into today. Please join me in welcoming the strategic, the innovative, the results-driven, my guy, Mr. Logan Forsyth. Logan, how you doing today, brother?
Yeah, those are kind words. I appreciate it, Mick. I'm, living the dream. Blessed to be alive and excited to be here talking with you. Appreciate you
Hey,
having me
I'm
on.
the honored one, and so are the listeners and viewers of the podcast, man. Like, been a huge fan and follower of yours. Our mutual buddy, Tyler, connected us, and ever since then, it's been like, wow, I need to talk to Logan. I need to pick Logan's brain, and you're so generous. I mean, even on your social channels, you're so generous of giving not only your time, but your wisdom and insights. And I think a lot of people miss that. You know, people that charge for their services for a living, that charge for their consultation for a living, you're one of the few that still just you'll give nuggets of things that people can put into place, man. And so I kind of want to start there. What's that part of you, that humbleness that comes across when we're talking, the appreciation of life that I feel when we're talking, like where did that begin for Logan?
I just love what I do. And I'm very blessed to be able to say that. I think genetically, there's just something in me. Entrepreneurship is in my blood. And I was never aware of that until I was 18 years old and started getting exposed to the world of entrepreneurship through social media. And that's a big part of what drives so much passion for me. From a young age, I knew the education system was broken. I never liked the schooling system, the curriculum that we were being taught. It was easy for me, but I knew that was not information that I was going to, take and run with and really provide a lot of value to me later in life. And so I've always been passionate about education and changing the education that people are receiving. And then social media itself played such a huge role in my life of exposing me to, I'd never heard of any of the concepts of mindset and self-development, like even reading a book that taught you to be better. And then more so learning skills and stacking those skill sets of sales and marketing and leadership and recruiting and just building out systems and so on and so forth. Social media is what exposed me to all of that. So with what we do and working with so many thought leaders and incredible brands, that drives a lot of passion and excitement with me of us helping to get their content and message in front of so many more new people. And then I just love the game of business. Like it truly does feel like a game to me. Business is relaxing. A lot of people have negative connotations towards work. I feel more relaxed when I'm working. It's when I'm not working, I'm thinking about working, and it's like stressing me out of like things that I want to work on and accomplish. So I love what I do, and then that's a big part of what drives the passion and just me showing up every day with energy and wanting to get it go.
I love that, man. I love that. And so I'm going to get straight into what the people want to know. And I'm going to throw out some stats because Logan isn't going to brag about these stats, but I'm going to do it for him, bro. Like, you help clients. And I think it's the last couple of years. It's not even like we're talking 10, 15, 20 years. Couple of years, 5 billion with the B like Bravo views. Over 24 million followers for your clients over the last couple of years. Bro, that's wild.
It is wild. It's crazy. It's crazy numbers. I didn't expect it going into this, but it shows the power of the models that we're implementing with brands. Essentially, what we've done, brand association aside, the way I say it like this is because people get it. we have essentially commercialized the Andrew Tate strategy of how Andrew Tate went from being widely unknown to the most Google person on the planet in less than 5 months. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but you have to take notice to the model behind it that allowed him to get so much attention, right? And so we no longer live in a world to where you should just have one Instagram account, one TikTok account, one YouTube channel, one Facebook page, so on and so forth. You should have 5 Instagram accounts, 5 YouTube channels, 5 TikTok accounts, 5 Facebook pages, 5 X accounts, 5 Snapchats. And that comes when you've already built your foundation, right? You don't start there. But when you have a media presence and you're constantly creating content and you first have quality, that has to come first. You can't polish a turd. So if you don't have quality content, it doesn't matter how much of it you post, it's not going to produce the results you want. But when those boxes are checked, you should absolutely create more what we call sub accounts across platforms, which allows you to then distribute way more content of what you're doing and get in front of a lot of new people. With short form content, which is vertical style videos, is when you're looking at Instagram reels and scrolling on TikTok and YouTube shorts. If you look at the insights across platforms, more than 50% of the reach pretty much always goes to non-followers or people, non-subscribers, for you page percentage across platforms. So the game becomes the more short form content you post, the more new people you get in front of. And the algorithms have hundreds of thousands of data points on all of us. They're the biggest ad platforms in the world, and they use the same data for ads as they do for serving people your organic content. But when you're scrolling through your feed, you see sponsored posts, those are the ads, and then you see a suggested post, that's the free organic content reach. You're getting in front of the same people due to the same data points. So organic content has also never been more like ads than today. And you're getting in front of the targeted right people just as a result of if you're speaking to them in your content. So that's why this is so powerful, because it is the most effective way to get in front of as many new people as fast as possible. And it's also targeted because of the data that the platforms have on us. And they're smart enough to know to serve the right content to the right people.
Bro, I have so much that I want to unpack and unplug from what you said, because I'm of the belief, Logan, that when done correctly, social media is almost like the new and improved PR. When you do social media correctly, you almost become your own publicist, right? Like you can go get the right views, you can go get the right data points, and I don't want to say game the algorithms because it's not gaming, but be in front of the algorithms, right? Like people talk about the algorithms changing all the time. Yeah, for some people, right? Yeah, the algorithm changes, but that doesn't mean that it affects you if you do it correctly, right? And so you said a couple of things that I want to unpack, unplug. Quality content.
Mhm.
I think that is the biggest thing because there's so many people that are entrepreneurs, are solopreneurs, or want to become entrepreneurs and solopreneurs that they forget the quality aspect, right? Just because you see someone else do something doesn't mean that's the right way that you should be doing it. So, can you break down what quality content means for you?
Yes. Data doesn't lie. So for me, when I say quality content, that means that you are seeing consistent growth on your socials. Your audience is growing consistently. Your engagement is picking up. People are commenting. Like, it's data at the end of the day. We're not being subjective here. We want to see that when we're working with brands, on consumer brands and personal brands. And until you see consistent growth of your content, I hate to say it, but your content is not good enough, right? You don't have the quality that you need. A lot of people want to blame the algorithm. Mr. Beast has a good quote. It's like, replace algorithm with audience. Instead of saying the algorithm is punishing my content, my account's not getting through because of the algorithm. It's like, no, the audience is punishing your content. The audience doesn't like your content. It's
Right.
just because you're not good enough yet. And that's the reality. And the quicker that you take note on that and realize it, that allows you to improve. That allows you to take the steps that you need to do in order to start creating quality content. So that's my definition of when I say the quality side.
No, I love that, and I totally agree. And now I want to go into something you said, and for everybody that's listening, right? Everybody needs to take a deep breath and exhale because Logan said you don't need just one account per social platform. You need multiple. And Logan, so I want to talk through that because I know that there are some people, a lot of people a lot of people, a lot of businesses that are like, I'm overwhelmed with my one account and I only have Instagram, right? They're not even on LinkedIn. They're not on X. They're not on, Facebook. They're not all these other places. Why is it vastly important for multiple accounts?
We're having this conversation the same week where a few days ago, TikTok had a 12-hour ban, right? And then came back up. But that created a lot of panic because there are so many creators who are fully dependent on TikTok as the sole platform. And that's not like this is the first time that's happened. I've been on social media in the digital marketing space for about 9 years now. And I've even seen this happen many times on Facebook. They just completely restrict organic reach. A lot of people who had big Facebook pages are scrambling, trying to figure out what's the next move for them. Google changes their SEO policies. Instagram rolls out this new feature. If you are one platform dependent, you are one update away from your business model being gone. And so it's very important to diversify your presence, which also diversifies your risk, but also creates more omnipresent and more reach for you overall. That's going to produce higher results. And short form content is the best way to do that because when you're creating short form content, again, that vertical video, typically now Instagram just released this update. YouTube
Yep.
Shorts released the update about 2 months ago to where YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels can go up to 3 minutes.
Yep.
Instagram Reels was 90 seconds, YouTube Shorts was 60 seconds. So now the definition has become 3 minutes or less vertical style video. That's short form content. When you're creating that, you can and should post it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat. LinkedIn recently, in about past 6 months, came out with the video tab. They're doing a
Yep.
huge push on video. And guess what? X/Twitter came out with their video tab yesterday.
Yep.
Brand new, big update. They've been working on it for a long time. So every platform is now really pushing short form vertical video, and it works across all platforms. So you should post it across all platforms because it is very high leverage to do. And it is lower effort in the sense that it's not expensive to pay someone to do this. And as soon as you can start to build a team around it, you absolutely should. And one of the highest leverage things that you can do is have someone who just posts for you across platforms. It helps manage your socials. The other option is if you're a solopreneur, you're looking to be scrappy, you can use a third-party scheduling tool. Just Google them. There's a lot out there. We posted over 500,000 times on socials in the last 2 years, and we've tracked this data, and we have data that shows that we see better results when our team is posting natively in each platform and not using a third-party scheduling tool. However, using a third-party scheduling tool is better than posting nothing, right? So
Yes.
you have to start somewhere. So if you don't have the resources yet to build a team, use a third-party scheduling tool. You can draft it out, post across platforms. As soon as you do have the resources for a team member who can post across platforms for you, that's the next step. But if you're creating short form vertical content, there's no reason you should only post it on one platform.
Agree. And I'm going to take what you said a step further on the third party posting apps, because when I first started a few years ago, it was quick and easy, right? Just post it there and it goes. But my social started to really change in a positive way when I natively went to those apps. And here's why. And I want your feedback on this, Logan. So I had conversations with the head of LinkedIn, the head of Meta, right? And what we talked about was the purpose that they intended those apps to be. They want engagement, right? And so they know when the same post has gone to multiple formats because every post you do on every platform has a digital ID. It has a digital thumbprint, right? I learned this from Damon John. Well, when X sees a digital thumbprint that is also shared with LinkedIn and Instagram, their algorithm is going to say, oh, well, you're only going to see this if you're purposely looking for this video, or if you follow this person, right, and scroll, you'll see it. So understanding that the platforms want you on the platforms because they care about the engagement, right? Like any post that you do that has engagement, they're going to continue to relive and reshare that post for you automatically. That's where I talk about when social media done right is the new PR. Like the platforms want to help you, right? The platforms are your biggest supporter in getting your message out. So I agree with you, Logan. If you can natively do it, do it. I'm also gonna double down and say I personally wouldn't use any of the apps. Like I have a team. And my first message to everyone on my social team is, hey, when we post, I don't care how long it takes, right? Like we're posting on Instagram, we're posting on LinkedIn, we're posting on X. I don't want the same message across. And we also change up the message or the caption or the post or whatever, because again, every app is different. Your audience on the apps are different. And if you're not recognizing that, you're also losing. The same people that you're targeting on LinkedIn, I don't care if it's a business. The decision makers, the people within those businesses are different, and they're going to spend their time in different places. So I love your commentary on that, Logan.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the next step is when you do have the additional resources to now start making each post across platforms unique. That's where you're really getting places and you're playing the game at the highest level. It's just something that you have to build up to, right? And I don't want those to be excuses that keeps people from starting, right? If you are by yourself, as long as you're creating content, you can I've done it. I know plenty of other people that have done it. There are no excuses to where you can even use your phone, like portrait mode on a newer iPhone looks incredible if you have a professional looking backdrop and just decent to good lighting. Like get by a window and it'll do a lot of the work for you.
Right.
Don't have like a very dark, like messed up lighting of your video content. And then spend some time to just map out what do you want to talk about? And a big question to ask yourself is who is my ideal customer? Like, who do I want to speak to in my content? And then create content for them that ties in your expertise and how you can add value. And also tell some stories about yourself as well and tie it into things that they would still relate with or get value from. Values and beliefs are huge, but people also want to know the person behind the person a lot of the time. And if you are only always talking about tactical information and knowledge, they don't really as deeply feel like they get to know you versus if you're also sharing some of those personal aspects. So there's a time and place for both. But it takes 15, 30 minutes to map out on a document of like, okay, these are the topics that I'm going to talk about in my videos. If you want to take it a step further, like add the exact hooks that you want to use and then sit down, have your iPhone ready, and you can get a $30 lav mic to have good quality audio as well. You
Yeah.
don't want like an echoey room audio. Be by a window so the lighting is good, and then you can knock out 30 videos in a matter of, I'd say 30 to 90 minutes of filming, depending on like how good you are. Maybe it stretches to up to 4 hours, right? But you do that one time per month. You have your 30 videos. There's now apps like CapCut that make it so easy to just throw on like auto subtitling. You go in there, tweak it slightly, but it would take you most likely, if you're a solopreneur, this is who I'm talking to for these tips, 1 to 2 days to create your full month's worth of content. And then you can schedule it out on the tools and you're good to go.
Yeah.
There's not excuses of not doing this if you don't have a team. And then as soon as you can start building a team, you should, because this is the highest leverage way to build brand today. Like you said, is the modern day PR. And a lot of people really are, they want to do a lot of cold email and they want to run ads. And then they have these very low show rates on their calls and their close rate aren't good. It's because you don't have brand. Like
Right.
watch what happens when you create brand and you're creating content across platforms, things just get easier. You have people that start coming to you, so many doors open. People, you have a damn near 100, sorry for, but damn near 100% show rate on calls. Your close rate goes up. People want to work with you because
Yeah.
you've built the brand, you've built the relationship with them. And there needs to be a long-term outlook of getting into this. It's not something that's going to completely change your life in 1 month most of the time. There are outlier stories. But if you get into this and you just have a dedication and commitment to it for the next 5 years, and you just keep showing up day after day, watch what happens even in 6 months, 12 months. It's going to completely transform your life. And most people just are not willing to get through that initial period of the first 6 to 12 months for what's on the other side, which is the most powerful thing that you can build for yourself.
Dude, we are so much in alignment there. Like we can just have like this natural conversation like we're having because we agree on so much. And I'm gonna piggyback and double down on something else that you said there too, because this is literally what I'm helping clients that come to me to help grow their brand, to help grow their influence. And I don't care if you're a solopreneur or you're the head of a Fortune 500 company. Your next hire has to be a social media and or a combination of a video editor or some type of sense of that. I don't care if the video editing is outsourced, great. But your next hire has to be a social media manager because that is the game now. I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care the size of your business. It's more important today than a salesperson, right? I'm not saying you don't need salespeople. That's totally not what I'm saying. But social media branding and PR and marketing is the fastest way to grow your business. Again, I don't care what the business is. And Logan, I want to ask you this because I had the conversation with someone from X, not named Elon. But do
Okay.
you know why? And if you're listening, I'm holding up my phone and I want you to hold your phone. Do
Okay.
you know why everyone went to the long version of a video now being the thing?
Vertical video, short
Yeah,
form
vertical
video.
video.
Um, I mean, there's probably a lot of factors.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink
What's
it.
the shape of your phone?
Oh, yeah. Vertical phone.
78% of social media interaction and viewing happens on the phone,
Right.
right? And
Yep.
so now they want to be able to take the images and videos that you see and maximize the usage of the phone screen. That literally is why everyone, all the platforms are doing it now, because even LinkedIn realized where they used to be very desktop dominant 5 years ago, they're like, oh, well, even during COVID, people were using their phone to interact because, again, all these platforms have all the data, just like your website, right? Like your website, if you don't know, you should go check and see where the views coming from on my website, and you're going to be surprised at how many are on a phone device. And then you should start to figure out what are the phone devices, because again, someone like Logan is going to tell you cater your content to your audience, right? Like, and in order to do that, you have to know your audience, not just your ideal customer, your ideal consumer. Who are the people that are actually engaging with your content?
Yeah. Yeah. It's on point. It's very good advice. And they're only continuing to double down on short form vertical video content. I think it's a great place to start, and what you want to aim to build towards as well, or you could do both ways, is incorporating long form content as well. There is a good rule of thumb. It's called like the 13-hour rule, to where if people spend 13 hours listening to you or watching your content, they're going to be raving fans. And if they're a good fit for what you do on the business side, they're probably going to buy whatever you sell if they're a good fit. And the fastest way to do that is with long form content. However, short form content is the fastest way to build the reach and really that top of funnel awareness of who you are, get a following that's coming in. And then the next step is funneling them to your long form content, where they really build a stronger relationship in your long form content and across platforms on Instagram and TikTok, so on and so forth as well. Just give away a lot of free stuff that's really valuable. Free stuff can be the long form videos that you record if there's a lot of free value in there. Free resources, if you have an email newsletter, free courses, tools that you use. All of this is what converts the best of taking people from a follower and a viewer to then a lead, because you have their contact information at that point, their email, their name, potentially their phone number. And that's what funnels them into your entire business environment and leads to a sale. That is the best way to convert on socials. I don't see nearly as good of results of people who are doing so much like hard sales of, hey, buy this thing up front or book this call on the front end of their socials versus promoting free stuff, free, highly valuable stuff that you could charge for,
Mm,
and give away your best things for free and watch how much more money you make on the back end and how much more value you create. A lot of
yep.
people are afraid of that. They're like, this is my best thing. Like, I can't give it, but I promise you, like, give that away and people will want more, because when they go through that and it's so valuable and they're like, I can't believe they gave this for free. I can't even imagine what the paid stuff would be like. Versus
Mhm.
if it's the opposite and you're trying to just kind of scrape by and put something together quickly for the things you give away for free and it sucks, people are going to assume that your paid services or products are also not good. And so they're
Yeah.
not going to want to buy.
Yeah. Totally agree, man. Totally agree. So, couple things I wanted to ask you, and I had to write these down. You work with some pretty big brands, right? And you also work with solopreneurs, right? So you run the gambit. Logan doesn't discriminate, right? Like your heart is to help people. Can you give, without naming the businesses or the individuals, can you give a couple of like case studies of a before snapshot, what the work was like during, and then an after. Because again, 5 billion with the B like Bravo views is crazy. 20 million follower growth is insane. So can you give a couple of case studies of what it was like before, the work that you and your team were doing, and what the result has looked like?
Yes. Unfortunately, at least for us, a lot of our largest clients, household brand names, pretty much everyone knows them. We have NDAs with. But to speak on results behind them, it's varied from. I'll first start by saying this: who is the best fit for our done for you service? It is consumer brands and personal brands who already have a content or media team. So if you already have, especially that videographer, and you're
Mhm.
already creating content ongoing, and what we talked about earlier, there's proof of concept, it's quality, you're growing, you are a perfect fit for us to come in and then build out the full network of sub accounts and really scale it up. Now, in terms of case studies, it largely depends on the brand itself. We have many clients, which is where the big like 5 billion plus view number comes in. Of they are a bit more broad in their approach, and they have just all of our clients have a business on the back end, and they create content to grow the business, and also just share a message and have a blend of both, right? But the clients that we get the most views with also tend to have the business systems to be able to handle the most fulfillment and scale. And so we're talking about 8, 9 figure, even 10-figure brands. On the other end, we have clients who are in the 7-figure earning range, and their offers are more niche. And so you don't, when you're more niche and you don't have the back end of your business to be able to 2x, 3x your revenue just like that without a lot of things breaking, and you have to build up to that, hire more team members, etc. You don't need tens, hundreds of millions of views. You just need 10 million views per month of the right people can completely transform your business
Yep.
and really bring in the results that you want. So I wanted to preface that before getting into case studies.
Yep.
It largely depends on the brand and the business itself, and how they're built and who they want to speak to and sell. If you're more niche, this can still be very powerful because your value per view is higher. So you don't need as many views. You just need more of the right views. And the same thing if you're mass, you're going to get a huge amount of views that come from it. So case studies, I say our biggest one is entertainment driven podcasts. And so, 90 whatever percentage of people are on social media to be entertained, not to be educated. Unfortunately, I wish that was different, but it is the
Yep.
reality. So if you're creating entertainment content, you're going to get bigger views. We worked with a comedy-based podcast. In the first year, we generated 1.95 billion views across all the sub accounts we created for them. They hit top 10 comedy podcast on Spotify. Started bringing in more and more celebrity guest names and just larger influencer guest names. And the 90 days prior to launching with them, they had generated 7.8 million views, if I remember correctly. The 90 days after we launched, we generated over 340 million views with all the sub accounts, to give you like a comparison between exact timeframes.
Yep.
And this is something as well, when you're creating all the sub accounts, the audience is started at 0. So there is a build-up process to this, and the growth is not linear, it's exponential. So the longer you do it, the more things grow, because it's just like any platform, the audiences get bigger across the board.
Yeah.
And so the first 90 days is not even close to what it can be after 6 months, 9 months, 12 months of really running this and building it up. And then we have case studies on the other end to where we'll work with someone. I like to work with people who are somewhere in the range of, at least on the baseline, generating 1 to 10 million views per month. That way, that's another metric we look for to know that they're very well capitalized for us to come in and help scale them. But we have case studies ranging all the way from doing a 34x in the first 3 months, and then other times for a very big brand who's already generating, let's call it 50 to 100 million views per month. Sometimes we can still come in and add on top a 30%, 50% increase. But those numbers, we're talking about an additional 30, 50, sometimes 100 million plus views per month, because they're already doing such big numbers, right? So there's a lot of ranges. At our website, mediascaling.com, we have a case studies page on there that shows specific case studies that we can share. So that's another place to check out if anyone's interested.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are some other tips that the person or business is just kind of getting started. So let's talk to that early entrepreneur or solopreneur. Like, what are some tips that they can do or that you have for them to start this journey, to start this path?
A lot of it comes down to mindset. Like you have to make the commitment first, right? Understand that this is the most powerful thing that you can do for your business. A lot of people want to wait until they have the resources to hire the videographer, to hire the full team behind it. It's like, I will do that when I hit this target. But I would challenge that mindset and tell you the fact of you doing this is going to allow you to hit that target much faster, plus all the other targets that you want to hit as well. And so the biggest thing is start and commit. And once you have that in place, the steps that I would outline is first, I would assume that you have a business on the back end. That's who we work with. We call it personal brands who are business owners that create content to help grow their business. And that means that you have expertise. And you probably also have a client avatar who you generally work with. If you're working with a lot of different people all over the place, that's not good for starting. So you need to niche down and focus. That's what's going to allow you to have a much more specific offer for the right person that's going to be more scalable. So first, if you haven't already, choose your ideal client profile, your ideal client avatar. And that's going to allow you to have a much niche, more scalable business. And then on the content side, speak to them in your content, right? And think about on the business day to day, what are areas that you add the most value? What are common questions that you get on sales calls or with people commenting? You can do market research. Ask ChatGPT. It's like, hey, this is my service. What are the most common questions that people have behind this? What are the most common objections? What are the biggest value points that people really resonate with this service? You can use ChatGPT to really be your assistant, and that's going to give you a lot of market knowledge as well as content ideas. Another huge tip is my favorite tools for going out there and finding the most effective, high performing content is viewstats.com
Mm.
and then TikTok search, which is free. But with those two tools, with short form video specifically, you can go and search keywords and it's going to show you outlier posts. What does that mean? An outlier post is, let's say that someone's profile, their average view per post, they get 5,000 views. The outlier is the posts that get hundreds of thousands, millions of views. And so it
Mhm.
performs much greater than their average view per post. If you go and you search keywords on viewstats.com, getting the pro tool, it's, I believe, $30 per month. It's Mr. Beast's tool, software that he's used for years prior to releasing to public. It's really powerful. They have features for YouTube Shorts, and it'll give you an outlier score. It'll show you like this video is a 31x outlier compared to the average performance. Pay attention to those because if it was an outlier for their channel, it can very much likely be an outlier for your channel as well. And then you're searching keywords that your client avatar would also want to be aware of. You can take those, don't copy and paste, but model and innovate. So look at the hook. Look at what are they doing in the video? Where is the setting of it? How are they pacing after the hook? Like, what did they say next to keep people engaged? Really study all of that. It's a masterclass. You do that for 4 hours and a cup of coffee, like you're going to get really educated of what people are doing to create the top performing content and how it's resonating with the niche that you want to target.
Mhm.
And so educate yourself first. After you go through that process, that'll give you a lot of ideas that you can start jotting down of what you want to talk about in your content and then do it, right? And you want to have production quality, but it doesn't need to be masterclass level production. You can go on Amazon, buy a $30 lav mic so you have good quality audio that syncs to your phone. Get your phone set up, do portrait mode, sit by a window. If you don't have lights, you can get good lighting for pretty cheap as well, $50, and start recording. And instead of recording one video a day, I'm a big proponent of batching it. I like doing weekly recording sessions because that is frequent enough to where you're getting a lot of repetition in and you get good fast. But it also allows you the time to really prepare before each shoot. So you're getting the most out of the shoots that you're doing as well. And so that would be my recommendation is go through that process and start, but you have to stay committed because you're probably not going to see massive results in the first week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks. And this is not something that doesn't take work. Anything worthy in life takes hard work. So you are going to have to work hard at it for a while without seeing massive results,
Yep.
but stay committed. And I promise you, it's the highest leverage thing that you can build for yourself, because after you do it for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, there's no higher leverage way for the time that you would put into it compared to the results and the attention that you get on the other side. I also believe having a personal brand is one of the greatest assets that you can build. And it's a big hedge against AI. With so many changing, moving pieces, people are going to crave human connection as AI continues to become more and more prevalent. And there's no better way to create human connection with as many people as possible than having a personal brand. So you should absolutely start today. It's still early.
Amen to that. Ladies and gentlemen, we just had a masterclass. We had a true masterclass with Logan Forsyth. Brother, I appreciate you taking the time with the audience today, man. It means so much to me. You know, you and I are probably going to do some business together anyway. So the timing of the podcast was perfect. I've been a huge follower of yours, been implementing a lot of the things that you've been giving out for free. So that leads me to this, Logan. Where can people find and follow you?
Yeah, I'm on socials at Logan Forsyth. The company is mediascaling.com. We did just release a new social media newsletter. It's really valuable. We've been putting a lot of effort and resources into it. Weekly newsletters that go out that just tell you the top trends, top updates on social media and how you can apply it to make more money for your business. So you can opt in for that at scalingedgenews.com. There's over 20,000 people that are already on it, and we're going to grow that thing pretty big, and there's a lot of value there.
Great stuff. Great stuff. I'll make sure that we have all the links to all of that in the show notes and descriptions, Logan. Again, brother, thank you so much for just giving us your time today, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. This is an absolute pleasure.
You got it. And for all the listeners and viewers, remember, your because is your superpower. Go unleash it.
Thank you for tuning in to Mick Unplugged. Keep pushing your limits, embracing your purpose, and chasing greatness. Until next time, stay unstoppable.